Alright, today we are going to run through lesson 1 and 2 for Excel. Lesson 1, we basically have gotten the students to learn about the power of Excel by doing sequence of numbers, by keying in 1 and 2 in cell A2 and A3 respectively. We can select both of them by clicking on one, pulling down and release the mouse click. After this, we could simply pull down as long as we want. Let's just generate 10 numbers. With 1 and 2, you'll go on smoothly to 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. But with 1 and 3, selecting both of them and double click on this tiny square at the corner will allow the whole number to be generated automatically all the way until 10. Let's try. Double click. Alright, so it goes automatically down. What we did last week was also that we can add, we can subtract, we can multiply, and we can divide all these numbers by using references of the cell. So by pressing equal, we select the first number and type in plus the second number. After that, we press enter. Subtracting is the same, equal the first cell, which is A2 minus B2. Multiply equals to A2 asterisk B2. Divide is equal to A2 left slash B2. Selecting all this, we can double click on this little green square again and to bring down all the answers. So to make it look nicer, we can always select the whole thing, the whole range of cells, and use these two functions to put them at the center. Alright. Of course, we can also use the border to make sure that they all contain inside the cells. Else, when you print, you will see nothing. If I have the border, at least it can show me. Alright, and of course, with the decimal places, we can use this to reduce the decimal places. Use this icon, or use this to increase the decimal places. Alright, so this is what we learned last week. This week, we are going to do an ISM project to test whether all the random functions in Excel spreadsheet is random. So we can select here at this corner, remove all the borders, no borders, and press delete on the keyboard and you will clear the whole thing. Now let's start with a simple idea. Randomness, is it that random? So you can type random Excel functions and have a read about how do we get random numbers. So basically I'm going to show you the two functions that we have. First, we are going to use this thing called equal random. Okay, this returns a random number greater or equal to 0 and less than 1. So this function rand actually just gives us a number, a decimal from 0 to 1, but not inclusive of 1. So let's create a little bit more. Let's just create 20 first. I'm going to simulate a throw of a die, and a die normally has 6 faces from 1 to 6. So how am I going to simulate the throwing of the die? Right now I can only simulate a random number creation from 1 to 20. You realize a decimal is also what we call a percentage. So this is a percentage of a number. So if I change and multiply this by 6, what do we get is that this takes a percentage of 6 and return it here. So a percentage of 6 from 0 to 100%, of course 100% is not included, so we will get a random number from 0 all the way to 5.999. Okay, just click and double click on this green square. You see the numbers are all here. Of course, there are many ways to just pick up the first number so that it can be easily used. Let's use a simple way. Let's just take the left hand side. The left, use a left function to take the first character of this string. Bracket, the text is here, 5.767. Comma, I'm going to take one character from the left. So with this, I press enter. It will return me a 5. Let me do the same for the rest. You realize that I don't have a 6 here. Only 0 to 5. So to make sure that 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 changes to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Actually, the simplest way is just to add 1 to the original function. I hope you understand what I mean. So select here, random function times 6, add 1. Replace everything. You realize now from 0 to 5, you have increased from 1 to 6. So now let's create, maybe let's say 600 of such figures. Okay, 600. Random numbers from 1 to 6. Double click this. It goes down all the way. So now, I need to check first. Let's just select maybe 6 of these numbers and put them on the table that shows the number using 6 data. Okay, how many 1s are there? How many 2s are there? How many 3s? 4, 5, and 6. You realize that I can press the delete button to generate the whole thing again and again. It just basically goes to show you that the page is being refreshed every time you press delete or every time you key in the data. To count the number of 1 in all these 600 cell, I just have to use equal to count if. You count the number of cells within the range and give me that meet the certain condition, which is 1. So let's just select the first 6. B1 to B6, so we use colon. You can type B1 colon B6 and comma, the criteria is 1. Close the bracket and after that you can press enter. So for this 6, let's just highlight it. You can see that there's 1 1 here. Can I copy the same thing and move it all the way to the other side so I don't have to key in the whole thing again? So when I do this, you realize that instead of B1 to B6, now it has moved. And the next one have moved even further. So to keep them from moving, I have to use a $sign for B, because I do not want B to move. So I put a $sign in front of B, so that when I click and drag this across, you realize that the B doesn't move. So now what I have to do is just to change the last number to the number on top. Of course, I can instead of keying in 1, I can refer to the cell address here, which is D1. Now when I pull it across, you realize now it's from D1 to E1 to F1, which refers to the number on top, which saves me a lot of work. So this is for the data. For this data, I can click on this and just insert a chart. And after that, I can put a chart here. And you can see that it's a very biased chart because every time I press delete, you realize the chart changes very much. Because this is just because that I do not have enough data. So every time I throw 6 times, I cannot make an assumption and say, okay, 4 and 5 never come out. Or maybe 4 and 5 never come out. Okay, 2 and 3 never come out. It's unfair. So to change this, we can increase the number of data to 600. So instead of counting from B1 to B6, we can change to 600. Then after that, of course, I can click and change the whole thing. You realize that, hey, it seems to be more fairer now. The data might change a little bit, but it seems to me that every 100 times I throw, 80 times will be appearing every number. So this is how I do using my big data to show the students how this ISM can be done, that actually this function is quite fair most of the time. Alright, so hope you have fun learning Excel spreadsheet using the random function this week.